Hello people of the internet, this is Kaiju Noir here to present to you with my top 5 films of 2012. Unfortunately, I was unable to watch every film that came out last year, so I'd like to quickly go over the top 5 movies I wish I saw, and afterwards share my thoughts on the movies that I did see in 2012, but were already out on video and digital distribution by the time I had watched them. At number 5, it's Casa de mi Padre. Number 4, Lincoln. Number 3, Chronicle. Number 2, Argo. And at number 1, Paranorman. Now the first film that I had watched on DVD was John Carter. I had heard about the mixed reaction to this film, and I can see why. The setting and atmosphere were amazing, but I thought that the movie had problems in the character department. Now, the four-armed green Martians and their culture were fascinating, and the Martian dog was adorable. However, John Carter and the princess were simply okay protagonists, and the villains were boring and uninteresting. Overall, it's an average adventure film. The next film I watched was Prometheus. The same kind of problems can be applied here. The setting was great, and the premise was very interesting. I thought that the movie had the same creepy atmosphere that was present in the first Alien movie. However, the characters were either uninteresting or flat-out idiots for getting themselves killed. The android David, played by Michael Fassbender, was the only character that I really liked, as I enjoyed watching him throughout the whole movie. Now, Prometheus could have easily been directly tied into Alien, but the ending made the overall story more complicated as an excuse to make another sequel with these characters. Next up is The Watch. I thought all of the characters played off one another really well, and the special effects were surprisingly well done, especially the practical effects with the aliens. I thought that the performances went a little over the top at moments, especially with Vince Vaughn's character. Not as funny as Ted, but still a very enjoyable comedy. And finally, there's End of Watch. Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Peña's characters were wonderful, and you can really feel like these guys have known each other forever. During the film, you actually grow to care about them and their families. The one thing that really bugged me, though, was the questionable cinematography, as this movie tries to come across as a handheld found-footage film. However, only half of the footage was actually shot by cameras held by the main characters, and strangely the antagonists at certain points of the film. Once you get past that, though, it's still a great cop drama. Now for my top 5 favorite films of 2012. At number 5, it's Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods was another film that I watched long since it left theaters. It's the story of 4 crazy college students who hang out in the titular cabin and get killed one by supernatural zombies. Now, this story may sound very cliché and predictable, but it's actually one of the most funniest and most original horror flicks I've seen, thanks to its brilliant twist at the beginning. This movie really pulls back the curtains and deconstructs every cliché and movie trope that makes up most horror films. I really don't want to give away the twist or what happens in the movie, as you really need to watch this one for yourself. At number 4, it's The Hobbit. What do you do when you take a simple tale of adventure and adapt it for the silver screen? Well, if you're Peter Jackson, you stretch it out to make it one of the most epic fantasy films since The Lord of the Rings. While the premise itself is simple, it is excellently executed. The characters were pulled off real well, and you can really feel like you've been transported back to the land of Middle-earth. I can't wait for the next film, and I hope it'll be just as great, if not better, than this. At number 3, it's Django Unchained. One of the best revenge stories I've seen, and is an excellent homage to spaghetti western films. With pure, unadulterated violence and memorable characters at every turn, I implore you to watch this movie right now while it's still in theaters. Now, I bet you guys can guess what the last 2 movies are, but it might surprise you as to what order they will be in. For number 2, it is The Dark Knight Rises. It's a great capper to an epic trilogy, with amazing actors that give genuine performances. Anne Hathaway, in my opinion, played the perfect Catwoman, and I loved Bane in all of his quotable dialogue.
It does not matter who we are. What matters is our plan. Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it.
If you loved Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, then this will be one emotional and heart-pounding thrill ride for you. And finally, my number 1 movie for 2012 is hands down The Avengers, an epic masterpiece 4 years in the making. For as long as comic book movies have been around, you have to wonder why it took so long to have a crossover as big as this. Well, whatever the case, it was definitely worth the wait. The actors brought these characters to life, providing truly memorable interactions that fans have been dying to see. I feel like in the long term, The Avengers will change the way comic book-based movies are made. In fact, I sort of see The Dark Knight Rises as the old way of making comic book movies, where the filmmakers would try to ground the story in reality and make the characters realistic and more relatable to modern audiences, whereas the Avengers and all of its related movies say, to hell with reality, let's just take all the crazy things that people like about comic books and make them work in live action. Brightly colorful costumes and all. Now, the reason why I put the Avengers over The Dark Knight Rises is because while The Dark Knight Rises tries to tell a more complex story, I felt that it stumbled in a few areas here and there, namely when it came to its pacing and the characters' relationships with one another. Plus, if you take a deeper look, you'll find some plot holes that are somewhat distracting, but don't hurt the experience overall. Whereas the Avengers had a more simple plot, which allowed more time for the characters to interact with each other and grow as a team. I feel that as the years go by, The Avengers will be the movie that will be most remembered for 2012. As one year comes to a close, another one begins all over again. 2012 had some truly great films, and I can't wait to see what 2013 has in store for us. Thank you all for supporting me during my first year of movie reviewing, and I hope you will continue to enjoy my work. Until next time, everybody, take care.